R&B legend Lavern Baker with a Lost 45 on Billboard's Hot 100 the week of November 30th, 1959. Let me pull up that Billboard's Hot 100 from that week in 1959. From 73 to 63, Lavern Baker with Tiny Tim, a Lost 45. Was not a very big hit for her, but she's had some big hits mostly in the 50s, some in the early 60s. She started out playing in a club, 1946. It was a big club in Chicago, 1,000 seats. It closed in 1958, but it reopened in 66. But she performed there in 1946, called the Club de Lisa in south side of Chicago, and first the string of R&B hits, Twiddly Dee, 1955. But here's the thing about Twiddly Dee. This is a case of an R&B artist coming up with a great version of a record, but it was later covered by a white artist, became a bigger hit by a white artist. This happened a lot back in the 50s. I mean, you would have a great R&B record come out, but the pop stations won't play it because they'll get these phone calls saying, hey, what are you doing playing that? I mean, it's just, some people would say, I remember reading an account of one guy back in the 50s, a teenager. He was a teenager back in the 50s. And he said, man, I like listening to the Robins. I like listening to the Drifters and Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. I like listening to all them, but I can't. I feel guilty about it because of their color. That was the 50s right there. It's just that racial thing, the major racial issues with these records. Therefore, if a white artist covered an R&B record, the white version, sometimes the sanitized version, would become a bigger hit. So it happened with Twiddly Dee. Done by Lavern Baker, went to number 14 on the pop charts, although it went to number 4 on R&B, but Georgia Gibbs did a version note by note of the Lavern Baker version, and the Georgia Gibbs version went to number 1. And Lavern Baker sued. She was not happy about that. Some other hits by Lavern Baker, I Cried a Tear, and Jim Dandy to the Rescue, back in 1956. Remember that one? It was later covered by Black Oak, Arkansas, back in 1974, but the Lavern Baker version back in 56, C.C. Ryder, an R&B standard that she covered back in 1962. I'm trying to remember who did C.C. Ryder originally. I believe it was Chuck Willis. Eric Bird and the Animals covered it in 1966. They had a hit with it in 66. But anyway, one other thing about Lavern Baker before I finish up on her. She's a fantastic singer. Listen to this record, Tiny Tim. Her register just goes, I mean, this one had quite a range. But she had sort of a thick voice. It almost sounds masculine, this record. She didn't make her Broadway debut until 1990, and it was a play, it was a musical called Black and Blue, and she replaced another R&B legend from the 50s, Ruth Brown. Lavern Baker, Tiny Tim, number 63, Billboard's Hot 100, November 30th, 1959.